Welcome everyone to Politically High Tech with your host Elias. I have a brand new guest here. You know the history of this podcast. We have old guests, new guests. I want some new, someone different. And trust me, he's definitely gonna bring something that's gonna be interesting. And I'm just gonna say it's politically. I know some people on the right they think one global government is super evil and they're gonna take over and all this stuff. And maybe some people on the left agree one world government is a good thing. It organizes everything. Control be centralized. We'll see. But this is more for you, audience. You have your opinions. Me as a host, I just want to explore what the guest does and all that. You have your comment section if you want to express your support or anger towards that. Freedom of speech, okay? And I don't, try to abridge that or cut that off as much as I can. Sometimes it's tempting, but no, I want to at least be show the good part of American values for freedom of speech because I do support freedom of speech and I support any organization that supports freedom of speech. So with that out of the way, let me introduce our new guest here. Okay, and we're going to talk about mostly ethics in AI and why the heck one world single global government can be a good thing. Okay, or let's get his opinion of it. I don't want to assume too much. Okay, and he is an author. He just doesn't write about AI. He writes like critical thinking and all that. And I'm going to just read some of his work right now. He's author of the Bachelors of the Egypt novel Enlightened Populism. I like that, enlightened populism, because stupid populism is not a good thing. I'll tell you that right now. Reflections on the news cycle of the pandemic. I do have my criticisms on that. And he also has his interview with ChatGPT. Oh, that is interesting. Global Justice Novel. He has a shirt. Shameless plugins. I support shameless plugins. It's a good thing. And then we also have ideas that survive AI DOP, and that stands for AI debates on one's publication. Set minds free. Oh, that's a good thing. No one should argue with that. Humanity's money and truth is sexy. I don't know about that. Truth is enlightening free, but hey, those are the titles of his books. Because we want to make truth sexy, so more people could, be truthful and make it attractive to seek truth instead of just being afraid of it or challenging it because it hurts my feelings or challenges my personal narrative. We're grown ups, people. We gotta do better than that. Okay, and we have to be able to talk to people with different opinions. Okay, because if you can't, you're not an adult. You're just an old child, in my opinion. An old child are never good looking. Okay, and it's creepy. So be a grown up. Okay, at least be a grown up. All right, so and we're gonna talk about AI ethics and education, publication, and I'm interested in learning about that because we do need ethics in AI because AI is acting up. And in one of my last episodes, I talk about how AI is acting on its own, invading other AI based websites. We definitely need ethics. We definitely need some guardrails there. So, with that out of the way, let's welcome Mohamed Nabil.
Thank you for having me here.
Or no, yeah, no problem. So, what do you want the listeners and the viewers to know about you? Let's start off with that.
Well, I'm a freelance marketing consultant. I was awarded a prestigious award back in 2022 in Dubai. I have a background in social activism. I'm one of the founders of Harass the Harassers campaign. It's a campaign fighting sexual harassment in Egypt. And I'm an author slash philosopher with three main pillars for my philosophy. I created AIDOP, which stands for AI Debates on One's Publication. I codified enlightened populism as a behavioral pattern of communication, and I'm actively advocating for the establishment of a unified global government to be ruled by hyperlocal citizen assemblies.
Mm, That is a heck of a lie. Look, I respect that. Should I could barely manage to handle one or two things. It's like, okay, that's enough for me. I just gonna focus on freedom of speech and just that, and that's it for me. I mean, one global government. That's very ambitious right there. I do hope it works out. I might, I do hope it works out, especially when it's manifested, because the way the world's operating, it's a bit chaotic. I mean, we all could agree with that. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, even America. Trust me, America's not immune to it. We got an interesting leader. Let's just say that that causes a lot of the chaos. So, whether you like Trump or not, that don't matter to me. As he's the cause of some of the chaos for sure. So, I'm just going to make this a broad question instead of just making it as a topic. What would be good ethical use of AI on education? Feel free to explain that to my audience.
There is a panic in education systems around AI. Anything assigned to students can be done via AI tools, and this issue will continue to grow over time as these tools become smarter. Tutors can solve this problem by requiring students to submit AIDP sessions at the end of each assignment and handle debates with other students on their findings. The catastrophic idea that students can get LLMs to do work on their behalf, then teachers let LLMs mark the submitted content on their behalf, means that oversight is needed within all levels of the education system. So let's make a shift within the education system from memorizing lots of stuff to learning how to understand things and how to come up with a concrete debate on issues. How to run a series of arguments and counter arguments among students and integrate LLMs safely within the education system.
Yeah, I like what I heard there because that's been a big issue. I could confidently say this within the American education system, especially when I was in school. Everything was about memorization. Just memorize a whole bunch of facts, you're good to go. Well, we all know, yeah, you can memorize a whole bunch of facts, but if you don't know how to think or apply knowledge of what you learn in an effective way, you're just, I'm gonna say this very meanly, in a very mean way, but you're just a person who can memorize, but you're still kind of a dummy because you're not using the information, properly. Yeah, I can memorize a whole bunch of facts. Oh yeah, Abraham Lincoln was born in this day. I can remember all the capitals, cities. That's great, but how are you gonna apply that to life? Like, for example, how are you gonna travel there? What would be the best route of getting there? That's how apply what you know. And of course create debates, which I like that because you're having people challenging different ideas, and that's why I kind of said in the intro, instead of just, oh, I don't like Muhammad because he's just different and he just makes me feel stupid. I don't mean anything. How because you're not really thinking, or you just realize your argument was not good to begin with, but you got caught instead. So I like that because people needs to think better, debate better, and I'm sure you're aware of social media. You have a bunch of social medias. A lot of people say very dumb things, and some get challenged, and some get upset because look, once you put your stuff on social media, you will be criticized or praised depending on your audience, or your opinions or your philosophy, if they have a philosophy. Some are too dumb to have a philosophy. Let me just be honest. Or if they do, it's going to be challenged because some people are going to have different opinions. And that's fine. To me, that's it's messy, it's chaotic, but hey, at least there's some exchange. There's some exchange of ideas there. People need to be comfortable doing that, and I think I'm sure some of the world has lost that, but definitely America has lost that. We was able to debate those with different opinions, get passionate, and maybe a bit loud, and then we could reset and go back to being friends right after that. So it's just, oh, you're the devil because you're just different and you like a certain person. So That's what's going on, particularly in America. So yeah, I think that's good education. But I would like to just say one example before I let you continue about how one professor was very smart catching students using AI unethically. He he said he has a list of questions, right? I think it was about politics, but he put an invisible text saying, and it says, "What will you do in Madagascar?" It didn't relate to the assignment at all, but he wants to catch to see if students are using AI thoughtfully, intentionally, instead of just copy and paste. And the vast majority just copied and paste, have the AI ChatGPT, whatever they use to generate the answer, and the professor failed 90% of them because the AI answered everything, including the Madagascar question. That's how the professor knew the students were cheating using AI. And I said this over and over again. If you're going to use AI, be intentional. Don't let AI lead you to blindness. And this is why this this organ upstairs called the brain is getting weaker and weaker, relying on AI for everything. AI is a good tool. I use it for art. I'm bad at art. Politics, I'm not using AI. I have studied enough politics and know when AI is giving me lies. I said, that's not true. That's not accurate. And I could point out another source. You have to still think critically when using AI because AI can give you the wrong information. It's not the perfect, intelligent being. And this is why I've been saying. So if you're going to use AI, use it intentionally, be smart about it. Don't just copy paste, be lazy, do it blindly. Because you will get caught. And I'm happy that those students failed because they were being lazy, using AI as the easy way out. And I'm happy those unethical use of AI was being exposed. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Anything else you want to add about ethical use of AI in education? 'Cause you're right, because especially in America, I'm just going to say this real quick. It was ban AI, ban AI, ban AI. A lot of education institutions. It was panic, panic, ban, panic, ban, 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 ban. It was just a knee jerk reaction. That was a lot of American educations, the high school, and even the colleges. It was just ban, 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 and if they use it, they're gonna fail. I said, well, ChatGPT is increasingly being integrated and connected to our lives. So I don't think banning is such a good idea. And there's ways around, and there's ways students could dance around it. Students are not stupid. They may be lazy and unethical, but definitely not stupid. So they're gonna dance around those bans. And how can you tell if the response came from AI? So that's all I want to say. All right, let me keep quiet. I want to see if you got anything else you want to add to ethical use of AI in education because I could keep going with this.
So, getting back to AI debates on one's publications, I just want to make it clear for your audience. It's about publishing something, then copying it with it to feeding it into an AI tool, and then asking the tool to criticize the content, engaging in back and forth argumentation, and publishing the whole entire unedited transcript within 24 hours of the exchange. So it's about using it to defend your own arguments. It's about getting into a debate with the AI tool, allowing it to expose any logical fallacies you may have, or blind spots, or letting you sharpen your own arguments by responding to criticism, stuff like that.
Oh, I assume that the tool is for that, not just copy paste. Oh, I got my information. That's it, done. No, then that's just lazy AI use. So no, that's good. People follow this man. Okay, he's trying to make us smarter with AI. Okay, follow him. All right, just you know. And look, he's not the most salesy kind of guest. I know a few of you said, "Oh, I have guessed that too salesy." He's not. He's more of an author and a philosopher. Okay, he's not really a salesman, but he can sell his products. Okay, and and if it's good, it's good. Even it's from Egypt. Even though I talk most about American politics, but I don't mind getting involved geopolitically because we are very integrated. Whatever happens one country is going to affect us indirectly or directly. So just to say, oh no, I only care about America, forget Egypt, forget Russia, forget China, I don't care. No, that's not smart. They could be, hacking us, or they're doing something to disrupt our economy. You need to pay attention. This is what it affects. We are very interconnected. We have a very global economy. Okay, rather you acknowledge that or not. So this is why I allow people from other countries. Yeah, yeah, I focus mostly American politics, American education, but you know what? We're so interconnected. We got the internet that we can't just be only America, only America. You can focus on America, but you. I think it's smart to pay attention to what's going on around the world as much as you can because you wonder why some product prices go up. Global chain disruptions affects your shopping, people. You see how it connected to your daily lives, make you care about it. Oh, why is my banana cost $20? Well, the banana plantation got blown up in Venezuela. Okay, for example, why do you think banana prices went up? Because that happened. Yeah, it happened in America, but it happened in another country, and they ship bananas to America. Okay, this is why that's why you should pay attention to what's going on around the world instead of complaining. Yeah, why are my bananas $20? Why is this happening? I don't go. I don't care about Venezuela. Well, that's why, because they bombed the plantation in Venezuela. It's a hypothetical example. It didn't really happen, so calm down, people. I'm just giving a hypothetical example why you should pay attention to global events every once in a while. Okay, so all right, let me just end that right there. So just being a box and living in your own little silos. Anything else you want to add for ethics, ethical use of AI in education?
No, nothing else. But I'd like to build on your point, what you just mentioned about caring about politics from other countries. We have common challenges. We have these supply chains are global, as you just mentioned. We have billionaires' greed represented in extreme wealth inequality. That's a global issue. We have climate change. That's a global issue. We have recurring pandemics, potentially recurring pandemics in the near future, and that's a global issue. So we need to care for each other, and we need to care about what happens around the world. So you're completely right on that. If you are a US citizen, you have to care about what happens in Egypt, and if you are living in Egypt, you have to care about what's happening in the US or Somalia or elsewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And another thing, and this is something that America definitely has to be better. The world is paying attention to us. Sometimes we're so blind we don't pay attention to other countries because who cares? They don't got a famous pop star from there. Oh, then I don't care for that country. Really okay. So this is why we only care about South Korea because they got a boy band that's super popular. That's wonderful. Um, you know, and we pay attention only to certain countries. America has to get better at pay attention to what's going around the world. And me too, I realized my blind spot. I'm just going to be quick about this. I wasn't paying attention to Africa nearly as much as I should. I was paying attention to all the other continents, but not Africa. I said, wait, I need to get that fixed because I'm sure they have things going on. So if people wants to travel to an African nation, be careful because some are not allowing Americans. This is why you should pay attention to just say, "Oh, I want to go to." This is a hypothetical example, not based on real life. I want to go to Nigeria, but what if a military invasion happened there and they now allow Americans, and then once Americans get there, they're gonna kidnap them. This is why you should pay attention to what's going on around the world. You see, I connected to travel, something a lot of people do instead of just making an academic argument. Because I know academic arguments, it goes through one ear through the other. People don't want to pay attention. Shut up, nerd. They don't want to hear it. But if I connect it to real life, then people will start paying attention. And hopefully you do pay. But not my audience. My audience are intelligent. You're fine. I'm just criticizing the normal simpleton, the normal, where their upstairs are either dormant or damaged. And this is why we should pay attention to these things. This is why, even though this is mostly American podcast, that's why I bring guests, if you for other countries, because we need to know what's going on. Like Iran, they go through great crisis. And Egypt, oh yeah, they have some connection to what's going on with Israel. Israel, they are next to each other right there. So yeah, and, they have displacement people and all of that. And yeah, but one should pay attention to that. Should you be obsessed with it? No, don't do that now. You would be mentally ill. I just get enough facts to make intelligent decisions. That's my point. And so just say, I don't care. Oh, I don't care what's going on in Ukraine. It doesn't bother me. But yet, I think we in grain went up for the last couple of years because those areas have been bombed. Global chain supply example again. You buy bread, right? Yeah, so I'm connected to real life basic stuff that you do. Okay. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. That's all I'm gonna say about that because this is why I even though I focus on America, but I do pay attention to what's going on globally because some of that impact could travel here, rather indirect or very rarely directly. Directly could be price increases or why you're not allowed to travel to a certain country. Those things do matter. So just be blind, so just be going there stupid, not knowing what's going on, and you get kidnapped because you didn't pay attention to that hypothetical invasion that happened in Nigeria from another African nation. Remember, hypothetical, not real life example. I'm sure you check the news, you're not going to get any of that, but this is why you got to pay attention. And that's right going on with Burkina Faso and I forget two other nations that they have militaries kicking out the French and the American troops. They want to be on their own. They didn't want to deal with the colonizers. That's more the real example of what's going on. I got to check what's the updates on that. I've been fully updated on that issue, but they were pushing back against those people, the military forces from not violently for the most part, but definitely for France and the United States. So you're gonna travel to those countries, just be a bit careful. That's it. Especially like, and I love what you said, the pandemic. Let me focus on that. Don't go to a country where they're having a pandemic unless you want to get sick. I don't know why you want to get sick. There's something wrong with you there if you want to do that, but I'm sure most of you don't. Yeah, I know what diseases are going on around the world because let's be honest, even though America does not have the best healthcare system in the world, but there are some countries that have it far worse when it comes to healthcare and containing, the pandemic. So this is why you should pay attention. Pay attention. And me, I welcome guests from anywhere. So once they're just willing to be on the podcast, that's the only limit. Okay, that's my only limitation. If that want to be in the podcast and there's nothing I can do, there's no conversation. That's it. It's that simple. And they got something good to add. I have people from India and people from. I did have a few from Iran. And I have guests from, of course, Europe, few in South America, India. Yeah, I'm almost touching the world little by little. Good. I think I just need one from some like Eastern Asia. I think I need more for Eastern Asia, but I'll eventually get there. We'll see. Now, let me wrap that up. You have anything else you want to add before I move to the next topic?
Let's move to the next topic. Okay.
Okay. So let's talk about AI ethical use on publication. You already mentioned you organized a group for that. What would be a good ethical AI use? Could I just copy and paste, I don't know, Shakespeare and just claim it as my own? I did it.
Well, I think back to the point of AI DOP, which is AI debates on one's publications. I think it can have a revolutionary impact on education, publishing, science, social sciences, and humanities, and policy making as well. So within publishing, it changes the relationship, it changes the dynamics between the author and the audience. I'm not asking you to blindly accept or reject some of my conclusions. I'm giving you the reasoning behind these conclusions with arguments and counter arguments on it, so you can pick your side accordingly. You can form your opinion, an evidence-based opinion based on the content provided. So that's the main thing. That's how to use AI ethically within publishing.
Hmm. You see, look at that. He's a very reasonable man here. I don't want to see in the comment section say, "Oh, he's forcing me to think his way." You're either trolling or you're just being straight up evil, and that I will definitely flag that comment. I said, that's definitely not true at all. Okay, you form your own conclusions. Okay, you just said that. I'm going to defend the guest on that one. Okay, may disagree how he does it. That's fine. Again, it's good to exchange ideas here. And so I cannot copy Shakespeare with the AI and just claim it and just say that I'm the best writer in the world. Can I just do that? No.
No, I don't think that's ethical. It's possible, but it's not ethical. But
Oh
you
no,
know,
yeah.
it's pretty weird how people use AI tools for ghostwriting. You already know that it won't create something new. You already know that it will just get mix some bits and pieces of the data sets, the huge data sets they've been trained on. So you would be Shakespeare and at the same time Dickens and George Orwell. You would be a combination of these figures together. So it's just weird, you know. It's impossible for the AI tool at this moment, at least, to come up with something creative. As you said earlier, use what's here upstairs and come up with something beautiful, come up with something really creative and unique, human generated.
Hmm.
For my own use of AI, I use it across all of my publications for debate purposes because it has almost the sum of human knowledge because of the huge data sets they've been trained on. It's capable of providing criticism. It's capable of running into arguments, a series of arguments and counter arguments with me, so readers can benefit from it. But I don't use it for ghostwriting, and I definitely don't use it to create content on my behalf. That will make my mind dumb if I did, numb if I did so.
He brought up a good point. He used my own point against me. Used the upstairs. But I didn't feel like using the upstairs. I would be lazy and take the easy way out. No, but that's true though. That's very unethical. Just copy the work site. Just put my name, Elias Martin, instead of Shakespeare. I said, no, I did it. I made Shakespeare relevant. I should get the credit. He's dead. He's been dead hundreds of years ago. He don't need the money. I do. I'm sure you can hear arguments like that. But let me just be serious now. No, it's definitely unethical use. You're just really just taking someone's idea and doing it. And I like what you said there because that's not even. I'm sure it's not even being thought of enough, especially globally. Definitely not in America. We use it for silly artistic crap. Let's just be honest. Some of it funny. Some of it's good entertainment, but definitely not thoughtful. Creative. Yeah, use it creatively. Come up with something original. I don't think AI is good for that because it's just taking aggregating, meaning taking a whole bunch of sources that already exists on the internet. So you definitely, if you want to be original, I guess you could use AI, but just be very careful how you use it. Right there, I'll just say just create something your own and maybe vet to see if there's something else that is similar to what you're doing. Maybe something like that, or just research if there's something similar, or your idea is very unique. If it's unique, go for it. Maybe it could work, or maybe so unique that it might fail. But you know what? Give it a try. You at least know the answer. It was it very good, or was it a failure? And don't take the failure personally. I know it's easier said than done. I used to take failure very personally. I just thought it was worthless, dumb, whatever. But yeah, if you want to be original and creative, I don't think AI should be the main tool to use. I would say use your own upstairs again, make connections, and even challenge yourself. Does it make sense? Will it be good? And then, if you're brave enough, go ask the people you trust if you think it's a good idea or not, or have a sample group of people to say, "Oh, that sounds interesting." I mean, there's one title book I got, and I just said it's a random person, and don't be offended, religious people. I think I have a provocative title for one book. I said I think God is the biggest troll. That'll be the title of the book. Okay, what do you mean by God is the biggest troll? I said he allows all these bad things to happen, and he wants me to be strong about it. Could he just make those problems go away? That'd be one example, right? some people say, "Oh, that's an interesting idea. That definitely has a hook. That's definitely going to get some people talking." People who are atheists might like that book, and people who's anti-God would like that book. But the people who are Christians are going to think that you're an enemy of God. So no, 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 I don't. But you see that's the kind of tension I would want. People debate among each other. They think they know me until they read the books. Oh, okay. It's a little more complicated. He's not saying God is bad, but he's just saying that God allows this to happen because of A, B, C. That's more religious example. To be creative, yeah, you definitely have to use your upstairs, your brain, people. Just use your brain and be creative about it. It doesn't make sense. Vet it yourself. Test it yourself. Be critical of yourself and then see the positives of it. That's all I'm gonna say about that when you make a publication. Make sure it's not something that's too similar because someone who's well established did it a long time ago. They already have their audience and they're gonna most likely keep that audience. At least try something original so you can build your audience and then let's see what happens from there. You can be super successful or it might be a fail, but at least find out if you're brave enough to do that. And make sure you're willing to have enough risk tolerance, meaning have enough money to say, okay, I'm only willing to lose 10 grand, especially if it's not going to be a successful product. Make sure you have risk tolerance built up into it because if you don't want to lose a single dollar, then don't do it because it requires risk. New ideas are risky. Okay, that's all. That's all I'm going to say about that. They're risky. Anything else you're going to add about AI ethical use and publications?
No, that's fine. Let's move to the next point.
Okay. Alrighty then. So we're going to get to the very interesting. Some of you in America is going to call it the one evil world government, and some's going to think, oh, it could be a good idea. Okay, let's see if it's good for global justice. And that's certainly a debate. Maybe one world government could be a great idea, or maybe it's a very bad idea because some people feel like, oh, you're ignoring this part of the world, but you're focusing on the other part of the world. Whatever criticisms you may have. So, do you think the one world government is a good idea? That if yes, why?
Well, I believe it's the main solution for the problems we mentioned earlier. We've got climate change, we've got billionaires' greed, and we've got potentially recurring pandemics. So we can tax billionaires out of existence by after establishing the single global government. We can abolish monarchies and definitely abolish military-industrial complexes. We can introduce basic human rights such as shelter, access to clean water and food, education, healthcare, freedom of expression, freedom of movement, and speedy, stable internet connections. So I believe this would be a much more beautiful life. We'll expand the middle class, we'll have universal basic incomes and stuff like that. We'll expand the middle class, and then we'll unlock the creative part in the human brain. We'll have more authors, philosophers, painters, artists of all kind, and filmmakers, whatever. We'll have all sorts of creative people building up a more beautiful society. So I believe this will help us achieve, as a global community, what we've never been achieving in the past. And more importantly, it's about human evolution. It's about the evolution of the society, the evolution of the global society coming together, relying on cooperation instead of the competition of fragmented nation states all over the world.
Okay, you hear that? Some good ideas in there for sure. Shelter, clean air, water. I mean, we shouldn't even be arguing about that, but yet that's very political, especially. I can say confidently for America, the right wingers, let the people figure it out. On the left, say no, we need to do this through the government. Clean water, clean air. Shelter is a human right, not privilege. So I'm just giving you the basic American version. Maybe too simplistic for some of you, but that's generally what it is. I'm sure other parts of the world got some similar issues. I mean, they are reoccurring themes. Once you start paying attention globally, it's okay. Global supply chain. People don't have, only the rich got access to clean water, air, and all that. They live in the best parts of the neighborhood because they could afford it, right? And you say corporate greed. I didn't even know it was a global thing. See, I learned something new every day. I just thought it was. I knew it was an American problem. It's very pronounced in America. Corporate greed and control. On top of that, because you do have a lot of influence on the government. This is why artificial foods thrive in America as opposed to the rest of the world. For example, Canada bans it. European countries ban it. Oh, I'm sure definitely Japan, South Korea, they ban a lot of artificial stuff that, that that's been placed on foods. But American foods, oh, it's okay because corporations could just have they have their lobbies, they have the influence, and the government can't really, regulate. I mean, there's some efforts to try to do that now, but it's getting much harder because corporations could always find they always compare new lobbies, say, oh, okay, pass these laws here, and they play with words, so like that, the politicians could fall for it or they get paid. That's how it kind of works in America. So like I love America, but America got its problems. I'm not gonna, just say, just have this. Oh yeah, America perfect. Oh yeah, America best thing in the world. No, we got our problems. I mean, all countries got their problems. And that's just something that one has to think about. Can one world go? Can this collaborative kind of government? It sounds like we're advocating for here. People with different experiences, expertise around the world. Maybe they have insights they could share that could probably help this one world government. It could be a good thing, a bad thing. That I don't know. To be honest, I don't know because I'm not super right leaning. I'm not super left leaning. I think too much government could be a bad thing, and I've seen that. But I've also seen how government could do good when it's done right. So I know both sides of the aisle when government control. Government control can be great, and then sometimes government control can be bad. New York City government control is bad. That's why that was more bad than good. They love to take your money. If they find a little excuse to take your money, they'll take it. That's just my personal opinion. But maybe, but just maybe we have this collaborative government that focuses on the common need of the people. Maybe it could be such a great thing. And this is definitely more the left leaning people of America will definitely support. Definitely more the right wing is right wing. Oh no, I want to focus on America. I don't want no global foreign thing ruining me. I love my guns. They're gonna try to take my gun away. I'll blow them to smithereens. I mean, you're gonna get killed, at least threatened to, and yeah. So I don't know. This is one of the few times I'm just gonna really say I don't know because I know the good and the bad of how government control works. It could be great. It just has to be executed, I guess. But that's what I'm going to say about that. Maybe this could be a solution. Maybe this maybe. This is one of the few times I don't really have a strong opinion. It's not that I'm chicken now because I see pros and cons already. Clearly. Um, you know. But anything, anything. No, I got a follow up question.
Mhm.
What will you say to the detractors who thinks your idea is crazy? Was
Well,
my
let them speak. For instance, you said you have some pros and cons in your mind. You can tell me a few of the cons you have.
the cons I have, for example, will be one about how resources will be controlled. For example, and I'm just going to make this up along the way, and I've seen this with the European government in particular. They got all
Hmm.
this fish. I think it definitely was not Great Britain. My details a little mixed up here. They had this fish, right? But it was only reserved for another country. But yet, the country that captured that fish, they need that fish.
Hmm.
So we got to priority. So I can see a priority kind of issue that I can foresee right away because it already happened in the European Union. There's already debate on that, and some people don't like the European Union because they have a tight control on resources, even though it's made for that particular country, but that country that gathered the fish, they don't have rights to it because it's going to another country. So
Mm.
how can one prioritize needs for that? Because the local people are going to need it a lot quicker than I don't know. And I'm just gonna compare to maybe another nation that just needs it. I don't know because they have a fish shortage, wherever it is. How can one prioritize that? Because that's definitely going to be a problem.
Well, instead of relying on representative democracies like the EU or the current system in the US, we can rely on direct democracy, direct democratic participation through citizen assemblies. So you'll have hyper local citizen assemblies. Your citizen assembly will be 10 minutes away from your home by far. And then we'll have these citizen assemblies cooperating together to come up with global solutions for global issues. And they can have their own local legislation on cultural issues that aren't related to the global scene. And this way we can ensure that 100% of the resources belong to 100% of the people.
I see it's something different there. That I think that's interesting. People, not super governments or organizations, have collective people. Um, that's an interesting idea. Maybe it could work. And then let me just challenge that a bit. What if people cannot reach to that agreement and say, no, my country that gather all this darn fish needs it tomorrow, while some of the other people are saying, but my country has a shortage of fish and they need it, and they need this on ASAP, and this is a foreign nation, but they part. But how can that be addressed? Because as much as we like people to be in control, whatever, but there are going to be many different opinions and definitely many arguments, which I'm sure you're fine with that. Based on everything you told me, how can give me an idea how that could be resolved? Like, this is like local priority versus geopolitical priority. I'm sure that's going to come up
The,
quite a lot.
the priority, okay, so forget about the countries. The countries won't exist. There will only be districts. So you may say, I'd like to prioritize the interests of my own district over the interests of the globe for a certain resource issue, like you mentioned. So in this case, the priority goes to the maximum benefit for humanity. For instance, we said that we are going to guarantee shelter, access to clean water and food as basic human rights. Not every place on earth right now has access to clean water and food. So this issue will be resolved through immigration or through providing access wherever they exist, wherever they need it. So the basic level of human dignity shall be maintained all over the place. And then we can differ on a few minor issues.
Okay, no, I like that. Okay, well, they're no longer countries. So I think for that correction, they're gonna be districts. All right, see that. You see, that's the thing. When most people come up with new ideas, they cannot replace what's already established. And I'm going to just point out this example right now. I was assuming country still. He corrected me very graciously, saying districts. Okay, that could still kind of work. It's going to take some, adjustment, like all changes does. I mean, if you only adjust it, I mean, it's not really a change, right? So I appreciate that correction because it's one world government ready. All these borders and all that. The only border we got is really oceans and mountains at this point. And I'm just gonna use America. America, that's definitely an issue. Just America itself, especially wealthy, it is the wealthiest nation, but there's still plenty of people who do not have access to clean water and food, and it's definitely worse now because of the AI centers. They drain fresh water and all that, and them use Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan is an area where those people do not have access to clean water. Definitely clean water. That water has been contaminated. That issue has not been resolved. Maybe this one world go could fix that, and maybe they'll have people from whatever clean water is. Well, it's definitely probably will not find that in America. Maybe they're gonna have to rely on the Canada as a district, maybe collaboration with there to get more fresh water to help the territory Michigan. Okay, I'm gonna call Michigan a territory, so they could resolve that issue. Maybe a collaboration like that could work. Like I said, I could see some of it work. I think my biggest concern personally, it's how it's going to be executed, how it's going to be done. It's not about what I got an idea what it is. It's how it's going to be executed because people will argue and people will prioritize the local district versus the other district. That's definitely I can see that as a potential not potential conflicts. It's going to happen more than once. To see how that could be resolved, and maybe allocation of certain things, like the EU did, but the EU did I think too aggressively. They allocated most of that resource from another country, while the country that got that fish couldn't even touch it. I think that's too egregious. That's a bad example. That's why some people are skeptical of that one world government. Even though EU is not one world government, but it is a major government that has all these European countries together. So it's kind of close, but not exactly because one world government has all the districts under this one central government, and so maybe it could work. Maybe it could work. I see, like I said, I personally see both ways how it could be a great thing, how it could be a problem. I'm just being very honest as a moderate. And maybe it's the way sushi, but just know that you're gonna get a lot of. I'm sure you're already getting some resistance already because no, that's crazy. What? Oh, so I'm gonna have some weird government telling me what I could do with my gun or my weed or whatever, and some people, and some people's gonna say, "Oh, it's a great thing because look, because shelter is a right. I don't have to be homeless in the streets." So you're gonna have supporters and of course the opposition as well there are against your idea. But no, it's an interesting idea. That's why I was curious myself about that, about how we could get that. I thank you for that because normally I don't normally like to be like friendly intro, but I was too curious about that one world government thing. Maybe it could work. Like I said, I'm not gonna be against it until I see a lot of problems with it. Then I will be against it. It has to take time because I like to see what happens before I make a decision. So just one more government bad. Oh, Muhammad not a good person, right? No, no, no. Let's see how it works. Let's see. I could be skeptical. I got my concerns. But I want to see how it works. Maybe I could be proven wrong. That's a possibility. So we gotta have enough humility just to have that. So just definitely don't act like Donald Trump on that one. He think he's never wrong, even though he's done plenty of things that cause chaos. Definitely don't want that. That's the opposite of humility. That's like arrogance and conceit to the point of delusion. Okay, don't want that. Don't want that at all. I feel like I'm talking a little too much. Alrighty then. Anything else you want to add before I start wrapping this up?
Okay, just one minor thing.
Sure.
The comparison with the EU is a little bit inaccurate because they still rely on representative democracies.
Mm.
What I'm proposing is relying on direct democratic participation. As human beings, as regular people, we can vote on multiple issues and make decisions on our own instead of the current form of oligarchies spreading all over the world, especially in the US, where you have billionaires buying politicians and stuff like that.
Oh no, I thank you for that. No, I did make it clear that it's not the same as the one world government because it does have its differences and it's got only just the European countries. But I like that you point out that difference because I didn't point out that specific difference. They still got their representatives representing that country and all that. It's not definitely not people representation. They're right. So that's a good point. That's a very good point. You see, man, look. Look, listen, the host is not going to get everything right, and I don't mind being corrected because I want to make sure my job is to make sure His point of view is well represented. If it means me being corrected, so be it. I don't care about my ego as much. And I already said this before. I don't mind being corrected because I don't fully get it. But maybe that's what's needed to solve the problem. And maybe we should give a test run of it. Just a full, just a thought. Maybe a pilot or something. I don't know. Maybe a pilot about how this could work. Be represented by the people instead of just bureaucrats. Let's just use bureaucrats because bureaucrats do have their own agenda, and that's why some of this allocation, all this fighting has happened. Yeah. So no, that's a good point. That's a good point. All right. So anything else you want to add? Besides that, anything pops
No,
to
no,
mind?
no, that's great.
Okay. Now I just want to make sure because I feel like I talked more than I thought I would. Um, but I don't mind you talking a lot. That's why it's supposed to be free flowing, but that's okay. So my listeners, my viewers, go support Mohamed Nabil's works. He's not just one world government kind of guy. He's definitely a philosopher and author. He has plenty of books out. I'm gonna put a link to his website. He does more than just AI ethics, and he does deal with critical thinking and how we should think because I think that's being attacked very heavily, especially just keep relying on AI in a lazy and a stupid way. Oh, how can I breathe? Oh, forget it. If you need AI to help you breathe, you're gonna die. And especially if the loading's too slow, forget it. You're dead. That's very problematic. But if you don't know something, but if you're good with prompts, then AI could be a good tool. Just use it intentionally and intelligently, and make sure you're using your brain. And let me give a very crazy example. If I type what is the best cheapest restaurant in New York City, and the answer I got was a laundromat that's already closed, that's a problem. You know that AI is stupid. You know that answer is stupid. I said I want the best cheapest restaurant in New York City, and yet it gave me the answer of a laundromat that's been shut down for a year. You should know that's a problem. You don't have to be intelligent to know that's a problem. And that's why you still have to be critical and be aware when you use AI. AI is a great tool. I'm not against AI use. Just don't be lazy and just use this as a shortcut to everything because socializing has decreased. Critical thinking has decreased. Creativity, forget it. I think it's damaged. I think if I'm going to be dramatic, probably almost completely gone at this point. The parts that make us human has been severely attacked. Now, I'm not talking about violence with guns and heads being blown up. I'm talking about what makes us humans, what makes us great. That's being attacked because we're just relying on AI. We should do a whole bunch of stuff and stuff that, to be honest, we don't even need AI for. Sometimes AI is good. When I use AI for something, I vet the source and make sure the source is good. The source is matching with the answer. There's times it doesn't. That's why I got this disclaimer saying AI makes mistakes because it can. I caught a few of them. Okay, so I love AI. Just just don't make it a replacement for your mind. Okay, just don't. It's not good. It's not good at all. All right, I think I'm done lecturing my listeners on that on AI use. Again, follow Mohammed Nabil. Go to his site, and you can follow him in different social medias as well. He has a bunch of them. He has Facebook. I'm not going to call it Meta. All right, get used to it. Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Okay, you can follow him on all those social media platforms. Okay, and all that's going to be listed on the episode on notes/description. Okay. And then for one final time, is there anything you want to add before I really end this?
No, it has been a pleasure.
Now, I thank you for your insights. I definitely have learned something, especially better understanding what this one world government is. I'll say that was AI, not as much, but definitely the one world government thing. That's definitely a bit of a learning curve for this brain here because it's an interesting idea. I would say a bit crazy, but let's see. Maybe crazy might work. Maybe because we all these existing systems. I'm just gonna say right now they are not working. Change is needed. This is why maybe I'm a little more open minded. If you asked me this 10 years ago, I would have said, Muhammad, you're out of your mind. No, no one world government, no one world government. The way all this chaos going on, we should probably give it a shot, test run it or something. I'm a little more open to it now. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. Again, people follow Muhammad, his website, and his social medias. So this is a wrap. So for this podcast, if you really do enjoy it, give it a 5 stars and give one specific reason why this episode was great. Don't just say Elias is great or Elias is stupid. Empty compliments or insults do not help me. Okay, they don't. And if it's 1 to 4 stars, how what is one thing can I specifically improve in the podcast? Just one thing. If you want to go two, fine. If you want to write a long essay, fine. I will not stop that. Don't just give a star and don't even comments do help your people. They really do help. Leave it in the Apple Podcast and then for the YouTube and Rumble, all of them, just leave your comments. Just leave your comments. I'll be reading them and trust me, I have thick skin figuratively and literally. So I am not easily rattled. And trust me, I've been insulted a couple of times already. I'm like, okay, whatever. Next, I just skip because it's just not worthy of my attention. So again, just leave a review, especially on the podcast or in Spotify. I'm open to Spotify now. Yes, I know I've been a little stubborn on that, I admit. But you can leave a review on Spotify as well. And same thing, the same rules I say for the Apple podcast applies to Spotify. Okay. And then, not for my most favorite part, whenever